Hello and welcome to Women of Influence podcast. Hi, I'm Jaylen with the J Group Real Estate Team.
The Great American Speak Off.
One of my favorites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome today with me, Brenda Petrillo. Hi, Brenda. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. So, Miss Brenda, you are a boss babe. You've worked in corporate America, both for top Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies, helping them. You've led their transformational change for these companies. And now you've also had a couple of businesses with your husband. And now you're a transformational coach, helping women to get over their past narcissistic relationships and become, well, anyway, I'll let you talk about that. Tell us all about your journey. I'm so excited to hear about it.
What part? Just in general, the first part or the transformational coaching part?
Tell us your whole journey. I know that you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can still
Lead us through it.
Okay, you cut out there a little bit. So, the Cliff Notes version is I fell into my career in information technology when I was, 24 years old. A gal saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time, and it really catapulted my career. But I did something that not most people normally do, and I dropped out of college. And I thought, well, I'm going to pursue this career in IT, and I'm going to get all the certifications I need, and I'm going to make those 6 figures in 4 years. And don't ask me how I plan to do it, but somehow, some way, through applying for different jobs and traveling around the country, I did it. And I wanted to do this by the time I was 30. And so I received my first offer for over 6 figures at 29 and a half. And
wow.
It was incredible.
You manifested it.
I manifested it. And it's one of my proudest moments after all of these years, because really there isn't anything that we can't accomplish with a degree, without a degree. So yeah, so that really is what started my journey. And then it evolved into helping and working with organizations, their employees specifically, to navigate change at the end of the day, with technology changing and organizations wanting to kind of be at the forefront of everything. You have to help employees kind of navigate from the old way of doing things to the new way of doing things. And there's an entire framework and methodology around helping organizations and employees do that. And that has been my focus.
Yeah, I can imagine that a lot of employees, maybe they're not open to change. And so they have a hard time, adapting to that big change, whatever's going on in the company. So you're there to kind of help them through that emotionally, right?
Yep, I meet them where they are, and you are very insightful because everyone deals with change a little bit differently. Some are early adopters, some are kind of midway through, and others are late to the party. And it just really depends on where they are in their journey, and we work with them to help them get there so that on day one of whatever it is the new technology is or the new system, they're ready, they're confident, they're prepared.
That's awesome. Well, you yourself have been through a lot of change, and fairly recently, you and your husband built a 6-figure business in just 6 months. Like,
Yep.
What was your secret sauce for scaling a business that quickly?
Yeah. So this was a few years ago. It seems like yesterday, but I got to tell you, we call it the grassroots bootstrapping way of doing things. And we had a vision, and we basically hit the ground running. It was a post-construction cleanup company, and we basically knocked on doors with some of the top builders in the valley, and they said yes. We bid for contracts, we won them, and it was fast and furious for sure. So it was quite a journey.
Wow. So it just goes to show that putting in the hard work,
Yeah.
knocking on those doors, it really does work. Like you said, going back to the grassroots. Like I remember when I first started in real estate, that's what I did. I went and basically knocked on doors, handed out my business card to everybody who would take it and listen to me. So good for you. That's quite the accomplishment. I'm sure you're quite proud of yourself.
Yeah. And it gave us a chance to kind of see how we work together as a married couple, which, was an interesting experience, but we did really well. So
That's awesome. What would you say the most surprising thing is that you've learned about entrepreneurship with your husband?
yeah, great question. The biggest thing for me personally, where we struggled, is I can compartmentalize, meaning I could wear on my business entrepreneur hat, CFO hat, and I could take it off and put on my wife hat. But my husband struggled because when I would have my business hat on, I would speak to him as if he was my business partner and not my husband. So trying to kind of work within those blurred lines was the biggest lesson for us. And for me, it helped me to kind of soften some of my assertiveness, if you will. So
Yeah, I can imagine that would be extremely difficult. I am very similar to you in the way that I do compartmentalize things. And I am like just putting myself in your shoes, like talking to my husband in a certain way that's more, of a commander style. Let's just put it that way versus being a loving, gentle wife. And like,
yeah,
he'd be like, whoa,
yeah.
what have you done with my wife? Right.
Yep. He'd be like, "Where's my wife?"
So you help women break free from toxic relationships and self-limiting beliefs. I know that you have your own personal journey. Can you share with us kind of what you went through and what led you to becoming a transformational coach now?
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, I've been coaching for most of my career, right? Helping organizations and employees,
Mm-hmm.
less formally, so to speak. But for me personally, the story I like to share is that, I had it all. When I started my career, I had a great career. I kind of climbed the corporate ladder. I had the office with the window, the six-figure salary. I had all things going for me, great friends. But relationship wise, I was a mess and nobody knew it. And what was happening is I was going from one toxic relationship to the next and to the next. And each relationship progressively got worse. And in some cases, I married. So, and it wasn't until probably, and it's taken me a very long time to figure this out. I often say 3 decades, because the problem started in childhood, right? With some of the traumas and the emotional wounds that I personally experienced. But there was a pivotal moment in my journey where I had enough. I call it the breaking point. It was a self-worth epiphany, right? And I said, no more. I deserve better. And from that point forward, I realized through my healing journey that if I was ever going to meet the man of my dreams, I had to first become the woman of his. And so what that meant was I needed to heal all those emotional wounds and cuts that I carried forward, right? That were a result of childhood trauma, emotional abuse from partners, a lack of self-worth and self-confidence and self-love. But when I made that shift and I really healed, my husband, who I've been now married to happily for 15 years, walked into my life literally. And
It's amazing.
yeah. So
Yeah, it's so funny how many of us women, we do have all of these childhood traumas, whether it be emotional or physical. And, quite often we don't know what to do with all of that. And so we hold on to it, which carries out, as you conveyed in your relationships, and something that, didn't really hit you until you almost hit that rock bottom point, right? Isn't it interesting how many of us have to hit rock bottom before we have that epiphany, or, have that moment where we realize, okay, something's got to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really kind of the catalyst for me wanting to help women through this. I didn't know there was anything called narcissism or toxic relationships, or why was I continuing to attract the same guy over and over again? And so through my own journey, I want to give back to other women, and I want to help them to do it in a more accelerated fashion. If you think about it, it took me 30 years to figure it out. I was 38 when I met my now husband. I don't want that to take another woman the same amount of time. We can figure it out together a lot faster.
You don't look a day over 35, by the way.
Yeah.
Must be the saint makeup, right?
Yes.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
So how was it that, you mentioned you had to become the woman of his dreams. How did that mindset shift change the overall course of your life?
It literally, it doesn't happen this way for everyone. And I had other opportunities where they were pivotal moments where I could make a change for the better, or I could stay the same. And oftentimes I would stay the same. It wasn't until that breaking point for me, it almost catapulted me into the fact that I knew I needed to shift my mindset. And I'll be honest with you, there is a place for therapy, and it's very good. And I had therapy throughout my journey, but one thing was missing, and it was the fact that I didn't have someone to pull out my inner wisdom and knowing. And that's where kind of coaching and kind of where I'm taking this now journey to help women is to realize their inner wisdom and to help them shift their mindset. And for me, I went on a little bit of an eat, pray, love journey. I took an assignment for 14 months in the Asia Pacific and spent nearly 7 months in Beijing and 3 in Singapore. And it's where I really learned to kind of love myself, be alone with myself, be comfortable in my own skin. I rebuilt my confidence in myself because that relationship stripped me of my identity, my self-worth, my vibrance, my style. I had to start over. So it was a journey. It was a process.
Yeah. So Eat, Pray, Love. I haven't read that book or seen that movie, but I've heard some amazing things about it. So I'm going to go put that on my to watch list, because I've heard so many good things about it. Now, I know not everybody necessarily has the opportunity to go away someplace for 14 months to Beijing or wherever.
Right.
What would you say is one way, or maybe a couple of ways, where someone could, rediscover themselves and, learn how to love themselves kind of where they are right now, like even if it's locally, even if they're not leaving their bedroom?
Right. I think, a lot of it is reflecting on what did you give up for maybe potentially the partner that you were with, right? For me, it's working with divorced women. So they've made that break, or they're about to make that break. And so I would ask, what were the interests and the passions and the things that you enjoy doing that you let go of because of the relationship that you were in? And taking time to reflect, to kind of bring that back into your space. The other thing is around, part of this journey is learning to set boundaries. The reason, I'll speak for myself, I got in the same toxic relationship. One was I needed to heal my emotional wounds. But 2, I needed to, I just lost my train of thought.
Okay.
I know, that's where you could tell I'm not in my 30s.
Menopause brain, I think you called it on one of your Instagram videos.
I know. So anyway, so let me see if I can pick up where I left off. But at the end of the day is setting boundaries, right? Setting boundaries for yourself is in alignment with personal care. And that's where I was going. Part of the reason why is I didn't have those boundaries. I lowered my bar and lowered my bar and lowered my bar. And part of this journey is taking a look at what are your personal values? What do you want in your life, in yourself, and in your next healthy relationship? That's what I want to help women get to meet the man of their dreams. But they first have to understand where their values lie, what are their boundaries, and that's different for everyone. And that's physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, spiritual boundaries, and really that's a huge part of the healing journey is understanding those boundaries, and that begins to build in your personal care, and then rebuilding and looking at what your interests are and kind of rediscovering yourself all over again.
Yeah. Would you say that, talking about boundaries, discovering your boundaries, that also kind of plays into, sometimes women, when they are in a relationship, they kind of lose themselves and they tend to, oh, let's do whatever you want to do. Let's eat whatever you like to eat. You tend to kind of lose yourself. Would you say that's kind of along the same lines?
Yeah, I mean, there's different types of, personalities, but that's part of the people pleasing aspect, right? And, it kind of falls. And again, when I say these things, this is based on experience. I am not a therapist by any means, but I understand the dynamics between a toxic partner and a survivor, right? And there is a codependency aspect, and doing things that you don't necessarily want to do to make the other person happy is, again, sacrificing what you want for that other person. And you're losing yourself along the way. And what I call in my course is they become emotional wounds. So you're adding on top of all the wounds you have carried through. And now that partnership is adding more and it's just perpetuating it.
Yeah, you touched on your course, and I know that's something that you're getting ready to launch. I'm super excited about that, to see you in the launch lab next week in Scottsdale. But I know you and I have talked before, and you also mentioned wanting to offer immersive retreats. Can you tell us a little bit about your vision behind that? I'm super excited about that one.
I'm super excited about it as well. And I'm just now trying to figure out where my first retreat is going to be. I'm targeting 2025. Most likely it'll be local, but I want this to be a profound experience for women that actually are part of this immersive retreat. And the vision I have is like over the course of 4 days, right, is you come in and I'm going to use the word broken for lack of a better word, but there is an element of you that feels lost, right? And you're searching for yourself again. And my vision is that these women leave this retreat renewed and ready to tackle the world. And whether it's a relationship with themselves or with another partner, that they begin and they're ready and able to kind of start that part of their journey. And so it's going to be upbeat and music, and there's going to be healing, and there's going to be opportunity to rediscover yourself and to restyle yourself, or to work with a nutritionist or a fitness coach. I really want these women to take their power back during this retreat. And so I will design it in such a way that this will be an experience of a lifetime for whoever.
I'm fired up. Let's go, girls. Do it.
Yeah. Life-changing, baby. Life-changing.
Yes. So you talked about women coming out of this being renewed, and the name of your business is actually A New Phoenix Rising. Is that right?
It is. Yes. Yeah.
I love that. That's so appropriate for what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
A New Phoenix Rising. Like, coincidentally, we both live in Phoenix. Well, Phoenix proper for me anyway.
Yeah. And I can't believe it wasn't, quite honestly, it wasn't taken, So yeah, so I'm thrilled, and my tagline is "Rise strong for a better tomorrow." And then just my overarching program is basically break free, rise strong, thrive radiantly. And
I
so
love it.
I'm just over the moon about really being able to kind of impact so many women.
Well, I'm over the moon for you, and I'm super excited. And so many of the things that you talked about, really resonate with me. So, how would somebody get hold of you, Miss Brenda, if they wanted to find out more information about your 2025 retreats?
Yeah. Well, I'm fine giving out my phone number. I do have a website. I'm still working through it. It is live. I've not officially launched, so everyone here is going to get a sneak peek, but it is www.anewphoenixrising.com. So you can enroll now for the retreat and get on the wait list. So it's first come, first serve, and I will reach out when I get my date solidly in the calendar and my location. And also at the end of the day, feel free to call me 480-205-2577. Happy to set up a 30-minute, coaching consult to see how potentially we can work together.
That would be fabulous. And I would love to be one of those people that is helping you plan your retreat for next year. I'm like totally all about it. It sounds super fun. So sign me up, girl.
Yes, I am looking for vendors. And so, yes, and if you know any matchmakers, that's going to be part of day 4. So I really like an opportunity to work with some of our local kind of matchmakers here in the Valley, that if someone is wanting to kind of embark on finding the man of her dreams, that they can do so as part of this retreat. So big goals I have. Big goals.
Yes. Matchmaker, make me a match. I'm sure you've seen that movie, right? Well, Brenda, it's been lovely. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I'm so inspired by you and your story. And you're just a bundle of energy and fun. And I think you're awesome.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Yep, you too.